After a bit of a hiatus from building this deck, we're going to get the permanent stairs put in. So we got through the winter with the temporary stairs, but nowhere near meeting code and certainly a little tough walking off the edge of that. So I've got to pull that out, level it, put in a concrete pad, and then reset those stairs to the right heights in order to make that work. What makes this challenging is the amount of slope I've got here. And turn around and see kind of what I'm talking about. It runs downhill pretty fast. So we'll do some clips and kind of show you how this process went. But yeah, so concrete around here. I have to have 2 feet out and at least 1 foot back, and we'll go from there. So stay tuned. So watch through the clips. It may be a little jumpy from time to time. I apologize for that, but you'll get the lowdown on the how-to on this. Thanks. Here we have the frame set up. The ground's been leveled. Things are pretty much ready for concrete, and we've also got the rebar in. So the next thing after this is to pour, and you can see the rented mixer that we're using. The important part of mixing is getting a good consistent consistency. This is a little bit wetter than we maybe should have, but it was a cool day and we wanted to make sure things mixed well. Another trick is to make sure that the stuff at the bottom also gets wet, because the dry concrete will stick to the bottom. Before you put the first bag of concrete in, it's really important to wet the inside of the drum and have a nice sized pool of water sitting inside, and then put your concrete in. And then let it mix longer than you think you should. You'll be surprised what a difference that'll make. And then repeat the same process after you've dumped out your concrete. Then make sure there's no dry stuff sticking to the inside and chop that out. I use a piece of rebar to keep that punched out. And then again, add some water to the inside and a nice pool at the bottom. And you'll find the mixing goes a lot quicker and the mix is more even. And try to be as consistent as you can about just what that looks like. Once everything's going, it's a matter of mixing and pouring and mixing and pouring. Again, being as consistent as you can with the concrete. If you do have one that's a bit dry or a bit wet when you pour it out, you want to make sure you mix that in and constantly be using a shovel or a hoe to spread and even until you get to the top. And once you're to the top, it's a matter of leveling, making it look pretty. After about 24 hours or so, you're good to pull the forms off. I did wait a couple of days before I did the stairs and that other work, just out of an abundance of caution. But I think it turned out pretty good. The work that's left to do is landscaping, get some dirt built back up around it, and then put the stair rails in, which is a separate project. And I should be good to go to call the city and get the final sign-off. I picked up on a few things during this project I want to share with you here toward the end. Number one is get more concrete than you think you need. Every bag kind of gives a chart of how much concrete you need based on the length and the width and the depth. Buy more. I'd say 10 to 20% more, and just plan to take it back. Because you really don't want to stop in the last 10, 15% of a project and have to go get concrete. Generally, that's okay if you end up in that, but it's best if you just keep pouring continuously until you're completely done. So get more concrete than you need and take back the extra. When you're building the frames, they're easier to take apart if you nail them together instead of screw them together. Be sure you use those stakes to hold that in place. And if it's a long spread, a lot longer than ours, you might want to put some stakes toward the middle just to keep the stuff from bowing out, because you're putting a lot of pressure on the sides. Dogs and cats love to walk on concrete. Don't know why, but account for that. Keep control of your animals, because unless you really want to memorialize their little footprints forever. When you do the finishing work on the top, you want to screed it and get it nice and level, but to get that pretty finish at the end, that's anywhere from 1 to 3 hours, or maybe more, maybe less, depending on the temperature and humidity where you're at and how much water you put into the project. There are a couple special tools that make a job look really nice. First is an edger, and that's how they get that nice rounded edge on those professional jobs. Second's a magnesium float, which you use to get that last bit of leveling to make it look pretty. And then a concrete broom that gets you those lines that you see that run across very nicely. They're not too deep, not too shallow. It gives you a little bit of traction. I've included links to all of those in the description. They are affiliate links. Buy them or don't, but at least you can take a look and see what I'm talking about. If you do buy them, I'll make a couple bucks, and I'll be able to buy a cup of coffee. And then the night we did this work, it was really cold. It got below freezing. So we threw a tarp on top of it. The concrete does create some of its own heat while it's curing. So we got through that night just fine, no problems. And again, the forms were still on that first night. So those were a few things. Hopefully this gives you a little extra head start on your project. This is just part of a series I've done on my first DIY deck build. Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching.